Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.
A picture is worth 1,000,000 words, not 1,000. In fact, I think a picture is worth 10 million words, depending on what the picture is of. Because a picture is just a nanosecond of a nanosecond of a nanosecond of somebody's life, of even that moment. And the pictures that I had sent you were quite literally a nanosecond of a nanosecond of a nanosecond of a nanosecond. It lacks context. The people who were at whatever, and at this point, I forgot what pictures I sent, so I don't know if there was anybody in those photos, but let's pretend for 1 second that there were people. I may not have had any idea what that person went through before we were together, or after, or the week before, or the week after. So who knows what somebody's going through in that specific moment. Case in point, I'm almost certain I sent you a black and white photo, my headshot. That was an interesting day because I had actually forgotten that I had an appointment to take a headshot. And I had spoken with the photographer in the studio, and she was like, well, if you can come by in the next hour, I'm more than happy to accommodate. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just right around the corner. I just forgot. And I'm not really dressed and groomed. I haven't shaved in 4 days because I'm on the radio. And at that point in my life, I was on the radio. So she goes, well, we'll just come by and we'll make it work. My shirt was wrinkled. It was 6 o'clock. I hadn't shaved in days. I had headphone hair, and I thought I looked entirely unpresentable. But the black and white photo was quite possibly the best picture I had ever taken in my entire life, and that's because the photographer made me look like can I curse? Made me look like a fucking rock star. And all because I forgot about the damn appointment. I didn't dress accordingly. The shirt was wrinkled. It was a long day at the studio. I was unkempt. But yeah, that's what you guys do.
Okay. Freddy. Okay, so yeah, so with the going back and forth, I'm trying to figure out, so is it Freddy Cruz? Like, what do I call you?
They call me Freddy Cruz.
Yes, okay.
On a good day.
Okay, Freddy. Nice. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. We'll get into your photos, of course, and then learn and share about you. It's really funny how the way people are, and I guess, from what you said in terms of being on radio and everything, you just need a fraction of a second to kind of get an impression. And I may be completely wrong, but you exude cool. And so I'm super looking into these photos.
Thank you. My daughters would argue otherwise, but
Okay. Well, first of all, that's their role. That's totally. I have a daughter as well, and she completely puts me in my place. But let's go into your first photo. There we go. You kind of you mentioned this rock star photo of you in black and white. So sure enough, it's a black and white shot. Your chin is in your hands. You're kind of holding up your head a little bit. You've got this winning smile. You're looking you're looking off camera. You're wearing these super slick, nice glasses. You say your hair is unkempt, but it looks great. You have, it looks all fantastic. You have this nice sort of plain button-down shirt. It's a beautiful moment because there you go. Like, you're just kind of looking off camera, looking genuinely. It's like, it's not a fake smile. It's like you can see in the eyes and whatever that it's like a real smile. Like she must have made you laugh or something, and captured. And you have great teeth. Look at those teeth, crazy. So you kind of gave us the prelude of the photo Okay. Now I have to kind of learn about you and somehow talk about how to make every second count. Or another phrase that's come up this past week that's really great is "We're not here to fuck spiders," which
I love that.
isn't that amazing? It's an Australian term. It just means like, dude, we're not here to fuck spiders. Let's just dive in. Okay, so you're in radio.
Was in radio for a long, long time.
Okay, so do tell. You have a fantastic voice.
Thank you.
So why are we getting this headshot done? And what's the context of this?
Sure. I needed an updated headshot because I was nominated for Community Service Director of the Year for oh gosh, I forget. I think it was the Media Alliance of Houston. Is some award show that the Houston radio and TV industry has where it's a lot of glad handing and I don't want to say circle jerking, but it's the first thing to come to mind. I was nominated for several years in a row, never won.
Okay.
That's okay. I can be like the Buffalo Bills of that particular award category. And if you don't know who the Buffalo Bills are, they went to the Super Bowl quite a few times in the 90s and lost every single time.
Right.
So yeah.
So you've been nominated several times though,
Yeah.
which it's true. When you're not winning, you're like, oh, why am I not breaking that little barrier?
Yeah.
But why that particular category?
Yeah, one of the many hats that I wore when I was on the radio was that of community service director. I was also the midday host and creative services director. As community affairs director, it was that's essentially a fancy title for Sunday morning show host. It's a time slot that nobody really pays attention to in the radio world, but when I was voluntold to host it, I decided to make it my own and turn it into a destination show. Lo and behold, I built some fantastic relationships. One of which was a relationship with my publicist, who you know because he arranged this interview. His name is Mickey Mickelson with Creative Edge.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Amazing. Okay, so take us from somebody who's not in radio, who's not, in that world. Okay, you're running this Sunday show, you're building it up into a destination show, which doesn't, like I can repeat what you're saying and can parrot it, but I don't even understand. So take us into that world.
Yeah.
What is that world about?
Sunday mornings tend to be the least listened to times of the week. And so community affairs, it's sort of that obligatory Sunday morning programming. I'm not sure how they do it in your neck of the woods, but we have, with the FCC, we have certain guidelines and obligations that we have to maintain in order to keep our license. And I say I'm no longer with that place. I run my own podcast agency now. But at that time, that was part of my duty was to host that show. And as community affairs director, would ensure that we were upholding our duty as a servant to the Houston area. And that Sunday morning show, we would have nonprofit founders and executive directors. We'd have mom and pop organizations. We would talk to cancer nonprofits, arthritis, the blood bank.
Just to highlight
Yeah.
what they're doing for the community. Okay, so one person we had on the podcast earlier. So I've had a few people from Houston.
Cool.
Oddly enough. And then one, he's a friend. He lived, was it Hurricane Harvey?
Yeah.
Yeah. So were you working at the radio station at the time?
Yeah. And that was not fun. That was not.
What does that mean?
That was not fun for anybody. Do you get hurricanes wherever you are? You don't get hurricanes probably.
Over here, it's called typhoons because this part of the world are typhoons. Now, I grew up in Montreal, Canada.
Right.
So we had lots of full-on blizzards. I live in Hong Kong right now. And over here, hurricanes are called typhoons.
Okay.
And so there was a mega typhoon here a few years ago that just completely demolished all the trees and really created serious damage. I know about the power of natural disasters. So, my wife and I were in the 2004 tsunami right? So we're
Mm.
in the water when that happens. So I know all about the power of water and everything. So walk me through. I mean, we don't have to get stuck on that. I mean, we can use your photo. I'm just following the rabbit hole.
Yeah, sure.
But what's that world like in terms? Because it's a service that you're really giving to the community,
Hmm.
and how are you propped up in that? Like, how did you fall into that?
Yeah. So with being on the radio, and I'm sure my TV colleagues would agree too, when there are people who have no power, no running water, they have TV and radio, specifically radio, because that's well, I mean, it's digital now, but even in a situation like that, if you have a battery powered radio, you can flip it on and listen to us cut in from Justin Bieber and Billie Eilish and just talk nonstop about what the situation is like. Did we go from Cat 5 or whatever it was at that time? Are we now are we in the clear? What is Centerpoint Energy saying about getting your power on? What is there a boil water notice in the city of Houston? If so, what areas does that affect? Do we have power in Cyprus? Do we have power back in Galveston? Galveston got demolished. Okay, what about Texas City, which is only a few minutes away from Galveston? So it's maintaining upkeep of the most up to date news and information
Hmm.
that people can't really access if their internet's down.
Sure. So I mean, in terms of your life energy, interest, where you put your effort is really other centric, right? Like, first of all, the radio is essentially kind of like a community service. To a certain extent, if you become a personality, then that feeds your ego, which is it's a positive reward. So that's quite obvious. But there's something fascinating about sort of like you've dedicated a huge part of your seconds of your life to serving others, to giving back within the community directly, even indirectly through radio, and now you have a podcasting empire.
Yeah, so the podcast agency is called Speke Podcasting, and it's spelled Speke. It's named after my dogs Sparrow and Zeke. Zeke sadly passed away at the end of 2020 due to I was about to say due to COVID. During oh gosh. Oh,
It was a crazy year.
yeah, it really did one on me. Can you tell? No, but he passed. He passed at the end of 2020 due to some unfortunate circumstances. He took a turn for the worse, but he lived a really good life. We had a
Hmm.
really solid run with him. He was 13. We had him for over 10 years.
Hmm.
An amazing dog, and my family and I love animals, and so the naming the company was sort of a nod to not just them, but to the voiceless in society, and
Oh,
what I hope to do. The larger mission of my company is helping people to understand that they can use their voice and not rely on institutional means of communication. So it's sort of instilling, taking my traditional institutional background and implementing it into a 21st century vision for decentralized media communications. Stuff like this. I mean, this uh, 20 years ago, unthinkable.
yeah.
You and I, unthinkable. You and I
Hmm.
would be sitting in a studio that costs $100,000, and speaking with one another. It would probably be by phone, not
Right.
Zencaster.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I love these conversations because I meet you as you're speaking. I've got you in video, very this nice room, and then I've got this still of you looking really great,
Thank
and then you drop these bombs you don't sound ambitious at all. What? Amazing. So let's go back. Let's rewind the tape back to that moment where you said, and it's called
Yes.
Speak.
Podcasting.
So Speke Podcasting. So let's rewind the tape back to that second, right? where at one point in the universe, there wasn't this thing called Speke Podcasting. And then suddenly in your head, all the switches flipped. And then maybe I'll go in that direction. So what was the catalyst?
Whew. There's a lot to unpack there, because at the end of 2021, I had made the decision to leave radio, and I left a great career. I had a long run. You don't spend 16 years at a radio station if you suck. And I had a great run. I was very lucky. They took care of me, but I got out while it was still fun. And at the end of the day, your employer doesn't have to tell you the words "you're fired" to let you know that you're
done.
You're done. So I left and rejected an offer, but I fulfilled my contract. And then I thought, well, you know what? I'm Freddy fucking Cruz. I'm going to find a job. And I'm going to show them. And did I find a job? No. 400 applications, 50 plus rejections, a handful of interviews that didn't pan out. And I'm like, all right, this sucks. It's mid-May, and I told my wife that I would find a job by the end of 2021. So 6-7 months later, I decide to hire myself because I'm just that damn good at accepting rejection. So.
Well, look, I hear you loud and clear with the pandemic. For me, it's been a good solid 3 years of rejections and trials and flying between Hong Kong, Savannah, Georgia, Toronto, Vancouver, just chasing work. I hear you, brother. Should we move on to the next photo?
Sure, absolutely. I was just going to add to that.
Do it.
It's a long flight from Hong Kong to Savannah.
Yeah, it took a while. Okay, so this was called My Massively Transformative Purpose. And by the way, please tell me, you have a shirt that says Freddy fucking Cruz. That needs to be a shirt.
I do not. And believe me, I would never wear a shirt like that, because if past year and a half has taught me anything, it has taught me that I am insignificant. There's I forget the name of the book, but I think it's called Cosmic Insignificance, where basically, we're part of this infinite universe, which may be a part of this infinite multiverse. And so our lives are just nothing more than a speck of sand in time. And so, yeah.
And yet, so now rewinding back to the podcast mission, which is, if life is a gift, how do we make every second count?
Yeah.
It's true. We're here for a blink, and it's just like little specks. And yet every once in a while we have these moments of sheer perfection. And with that, I want to say that because I brought up the photo, and there's this photo of you, which is just sheer perfection. So so the background is, you're in a room that's carpeted. No, it's not. It's like maybe rubber coated. And then in the background, oddly enough, there's Yoda holding a lightsaber, kind of about to strike. It's just like a sculpture or something. Mm-hmm. In front of Yoda is this red. Is it leather? Is it pleather? Is it vinyl? It's this popping red couch, I guess.
Yeah.
You're on one knee wearing jeans. You have an eye for images, because the colors, your aesthetic is okay. So your hair looks great. Your glasses look good. You're shaved. You're wearing this really popping orange polo shirt. And what makes the shot is that you're giving this honest, sweet kiss to, it could be a puppy, it could be a kind of a pit bull mix. Maybe a pit bull? I don't know. But giving it, or a staffy or something. It's this white dog, not like medium size, that you're holding, you're hugging, and you're kissing him on the face. One of his eyes are closed. You're kind of mashing him, so he's like, ah! My massively transformative purpose. Hit me.
Yeah. That's Bubbles. Bubbles is a survivor of animal abuse. She was beaten with a hammer,
Holy fuck.
and when they were performing surgery on her, they found a bullet lodged in her face.
Holy
And
shit.
yeah, it's pretty fucked up. People are really just dirtbags. I normally don't get emotional talking about it. It was years ago. I call myself friends of her parents, Kylan and Ike. They found her. They met her at a shelter called Houston Pets Alive. Yeah, so the veterinarians that they got connected with, it was never, I guess, they weren't really based on conversations that I've had with Kylan. It was never one of those, oh, well, there's a 10% chance she'll survive. It was more along the lines of, well, we're just going to have to get creative and see what we can do. Because her jaw was it was so damaged that they weren't, I guess there was a little doubt as to whether or not they could fix it. And because it was so smashed, and it's interesting you say it looks like I was, like squeezing
Mashing.
her,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
her jaw is still crooked, and she's still
Okay.
goofy and cute. She's just the most beautiful dog ever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they were worried whether or not they will be able to fix her jaw so that she could actually eat and drink water. And so that was
Mm-hmm.
the main
Mm-hmm.
concern. The
Wow.
bullet, I guess, which was lodged in her head or her face, that was a sort of a non-factor, because I mean, it was just it. I guess it didn't hit the vitals like her brain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Whew.
yeah.
Freddy. Okay. How many dogs do you have in your house at the moment?
I only have one.
Okay.
I only
That's
have one.
fine.
Yeah, I love dogs.
One is enough. I mean, like one,
Yeah.
like, okay, as a person who has many dogs in my house, rescues as well.
Yeah.
I hear you. I see you.
Yeah.
It's a very peculiar image because what's happened, like, hopefully for the listener, there's also like this auditory sort of juxtaposition where, like, on the one hand, I describe this photo, which to me is so joyous and joyful and so sweet. And in the photo itself, it's also kind of thrown off because you got Yoda in the background with this lightsaber looking like he's about to attack
Yeah.
the both of you, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's this weird juxtaposition in terms of the visual. But then when I stop describing this amazing image with such sort of enthusiasm, you're on the other, you're in a completely other place where you're just like connecting with, because you experience like this, the idea of this, like that somebody would take a hammer to a dog's head or shoot them in the head. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And I will, so that lobby where we're photographed in, that was my previous employer. I've since had Kylan on my current podcast, where she talked a little bit more about the procedure and what exactly was going on with her, when they were operating on her. And it was a series of operations, man. It was, but it's just, it's something. And I don't know what the animal situation is over in Hong Kong, but I imagine it's a million times better than it is here in the South, in southern United States. Because as awesome as the animal advocate community is, there are plenty of people who will make you question whether or not humans are right for this planet. And I'm a glasses half full guy. I'm just saying
yeah.
that you see that these devils do these heinous things to an animal, and it's like, all right, yeah.
No, for sure. So Hong Kong's animal it's getting better. Pets are becoming more of a thing. I mean, this is a place that had issues with raising animals for food until quite relatively recently. So, I don't know. There's issues here as well.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting to me that you called this my massively transformative purpose.
Hmm.
So talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so it goes back to the overarching mission of my agency, because I am in the Houston area, and my MTP, it's something Peter Diamandis talks about. It's the one thing that the legacy that you want to leave behind. And
Mm.
there are some 1 million homeless animals here in the Houston area, and I want to have played some sort of role in turning Houston and maybe even the state of Texas. But right now I'm focused on the Houston area because we got to get our shit together, man. To turn Houston into a city that has turned the ship around, and where we're begging other cities for their animals.
Oh, okay.
That,
Okay.
that there are no more there are no more homeless animals, and
Mm.
Freddie and his family need a dog. Well, who are we going to
Okay.
call? Oh, we'll call those rednecks in Mississippi, and we'll no offense to anybody from Mississippi that might be a redneck.
Just so you know, that's my target demographic for the year. So,
Ooh,
okay.
okay, wrong example. We'll call those rednecks in Alabama. Hopefully, you don't have any clients in Alabama. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Okay, so I've actually been to Houston once or twice.
Oh, okay.
Once. Definitely once.
Cool.
And had a great time. So for example, you called MTP, massively transformative purpose, right? And then you've got the other author who wrote, the BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yeah.
Right? Just another way of referring to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so how is that manifesting though? Like, how is that turning into action?
Okay, so my agency is in startup mode, and I am working a job at a local shelter, the one where we got Sparrow and Zeke, and so I do work with them, and I volunteer certain items. I procure things. I work their social media. So while I am getting paid to do their marketing work, there are things that I donate and have donated, that we have volunteered our time, my family and I. So it's going to get eventually to a point that when my company grows and it grows and it grows, that I will have the means and the capital available to help Citizens for Animal Protection and other adoption, other animal nonprofits in a way that beyond a Saturday afternoon.
Right. So where did this come from? Like this okay, so it could just be well, you've always had pets, you've always but where does this passion to turn your effort into, this is such a big issue, I want to get involved, but like how far back do we have to go to find out where that seed started in you? Has it always been who you are, or was there a kind of a signature moment that you can identify? Yeah, that was kind of when I realized I need to put my energy there.
Yeah, it's the answer is there's no really short answer to it, other than I would credit both of my daughters. I've got one of them that wants to be a veterinarian, and this isn't they're 17 and 18 now. One of them is graduated from high school, so this isn't just 5 and 6 year old little girls when right after we adopted Zeke who are telling me, I want to be a veterinarian, I want to rescue dogs. This is something that we have had many conversations about. So the younger one wants to be a veterinarian, is convinced she's going to be a veterinarian, although in the equine field, but she does volunteer at CAP. That's what we call Citizens for Animal Protection. And then the other one has talked about Saipan, which is the island of abandoned dogs that's in the Pacific. And so she has made it very clear that she wants to somehow, some way help over there. And I'm like, well, if you can do it,
you guys,
yeah. So
what a sweet family.
Yeah.
You guys are you're too sweet. Okay. On that note, shall we leave this really sweet photo and move on to the next?
Yeah, let's do it.
Aww. So nice. Okay, great. So it's a photo of you and another person. You're sitting in like closer to the photographer. You have cards in your hand. You're holding a mic. You're in the middle of a kind of not a belly laugh, but you're kind of like chuckling. I get the impression that you like to laugh. And then sitting next to you is, I guess, an MC interviewer or something. He's kind of dressed like a good old boy. He's got like a cap on. He's got a checkered shirt. He's wearing jeans. You're both wearing jeans. It looks like you're at a round table or a reading of some sort. Yeah. What's this?
I'm trying to remember what that picture was.
It's called My Gift and How to Help Others.
My gift and how to help others. Oh gosh, I'm really trying to remember that.
So, okay, so you don't even have to look at the photo, right? So here's what's interesting, right? Like all of this is part of your life. And so let's like it can get philosophical about it in that these conversations are about looking at these little snapshots and these
Yeah.
little windows of experience. And it's really interesting because this happens where people send me the message, the photos, and then we speak like a month or 2 months later.
Okay. Okay, I see it now.
Okay. This is your life. What the hell? What the fuck are we looking at?
Okay, so yes, this is one of my favorite authors of all time. His name is Jack Carr. He is a former Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is Jack Carr, and you can see the sign behind him. We're at Memorial City Mall,
Right.
and this is a live Q&A. So what you see me laughing at, and it looks almost like he's looking at the camera.
Yep.
I don't know why, but I'm looking out into the audience. We are sitting before, because this was in 2022. Yeah, 2022. So last year, about maybe 50 people inside the courtyard of a mall, a major mall here in Houston, Memorial City Mall. And yeah, it's a Q&A, and we were having a lot of fun talking about one of his books. What was the name of the book? I think it was In the Blood, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, this guy's story is, his story is, it's incredible. First off, Navy SEALs are the most badass guys in the history of the world, where like we think about the samurai from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Well, 500 years from now, people are going to look at Navy SEALs the way we look at the samurai.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just the toughest men on earth, and
Sure.
I can't be convinced otherwise. Now, what's so interesting about his story? So he retired from the Navy, and he had started writing. He's always been a reader and has always been obsessed with storytelling and stories. And if you listen to enough interviews with him, if you listen to enough podcast interviews or watched him on YouTube, you know how obsessed he is with books. So he wrote a book, and he had a friend call him up and was like, Jack, thank you for what you did for me. He's like, okay, I don't remember what I did, but you're welcome. He goes, hey, I heard you got a book coming out. Yeah, I have a book coming out. I just finished it. I can send you a galley copy. Happy to send you a copy. Yeah, sure, but can I have another one? He's like, okay, sure, I'll personalize it. Who should I make it out to? Chris Pratt.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
yeah. So he's like,
Amazing.
yeah. So my friend Chris Pratt would like a copy of your book. So before the book had ever, because a galley copy is an uncorrected proof. So before the book ever even hit shelves, it went to Chris Pratt, and he was like, yeah, we're going to turn this into a series. And so
Oh, wow.
the Amazon series Terminal List, which is the first book in the in the James Reese series. Terminal List was it came to fruition last year, which that show is bananas. Like,
Right.
just, the books are amazing. The series is really, really good. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Training Day. It was directed by Antoine Fuqua. And so he's one of the guys behind the series. Just the cinematography is amazing.
Just to go back to the photo for a second.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there, you're wearing this like bright shirt. You have this nice smile. You're obviously doing, I guess now you're doing Q&A with people. Somebody must have asked a funny question. And as you say, Jack, I guess he's looking at the photographer. He's got this big old beard. He could look for all, he's definitely like big chested and all this stuff. He could be a farmer for all we know, he could be like whatever. So you're saying, okay, so here's this badass who's had quite a life. You're there as a kind of a bridge to the audience who may not know him or just be curious, just passersby or whatever. And you call it my gift and how to help others, which from my life experience working in something called service leadership or service network leadership, which is about coaching and training and helping people better understand how to work with one another within human networks and person to person. Like just in the little bit that we've met, you've heard that I seem to put a lot of attention on this notion of service, right? And in the US, I know, when you take the train, when you take a plane, when you go around, you're always hearing like, thank you for your service to the military. Okay, so I just threw all these words in your direction. Why don't you take that little salad of things and take us into a direction that makes sense for you? Like, how do you interpret service and giving back and giving? Because you're obviously a giving person.
Thank you. So the reason why I called it my gift and how I plan to use it to help others is that as long as I've been in radio and, I can't for the life of me escape my past. My career is my career. And when I took over that community affairs show, it was really, I didn't want it. Like I said, I was voluntold to do it. I guess this is how much respect that day part got. They didn't hire somebody to do it. They just told somebody that, oh, hey, you know what? You're going to do it, Freddie. Okay.
Right.
Well, do I get a say in the matter? No, I didn't. So it was, how am I going to, I made a successful career out of doing the shit that nobody else wanted to do. And I'm going to apply that training that my mother taught me that there are things that you've just got to do, some things that you don't want to do. And I learned I accepted it. Then I made myself enjoy it. And then I eventually just enjoyed it, and I did it. And like I said, I eventually, by the time I left that radio station, it was a destination show. I don't know what they're doing now, but during that time when I would interview people, I didn't realize how good at interviews I was. I had no idea. So I took over that show in the summer of 2015. So almost 2015. So like 8 years ago. And I had done interviews before, but I hadn't done them often enough to really know that I had a gift for talking to people. I'm a better interviewer than I am a guest because I'm forced to do less talking and more listening.
Right.
And so that is my gift. And one of the things that I want to do is help podcasters unleash the inner gift that they have, because I think that we're all capable of listening and having conversations, and complex conversations at that. Not just, hey, what's your favorite color? Hey, why'd you do this? Hey, why'd you do that? I love the idea of this conversation where you peel back the layers of a photo and we just go from there. I love that idea because it's a nuanced conversation from an entirely different perspective.
Right. So and you'll see that as an interviewer, I'm some people just like, don't interrupt your guest so much. I'm like, yeah, but hold on.
No, I love it. Yeah.
Because we're just talking. We're shooting the shit. So So one of the things. Okay. So like a photograph in actual mechanical time. So for example, the photo here of you two in this mall was probably taken at 1/60th of a second. Right, that's 1/60th of a second of light that was recorded and fixed. And now we're looking at it so many years later, talking about it. Now, in a way, it's an accidental, it's a snapshot, right? Okay. And in the same way, you fall into you're working at this radio station and they turn to you and they say, oh, by the way, Sunday, you're doing this show. It's your baby now. Run with it. And you're just like, what? And what? Oh, I guess. And then you kind of settled into it. Now, the question is, was that an accident, or was that a kind of in the big picture, a kind of a self-selection that really was an important step for you to get to, so that you can get to here, to running your own podcasting platform empire? Yeah. So do you understand? Maybe my question is not nonsensical, but okay, you take it from there.
No, I don't think it's nonsensical. I totally get what you mean. What was it? It was Freud that said there are no accidents.
Okay.
And so, yeah, you're right. A sign or self-selection or something. Maybe I was voluntold to do it because management saw me as the only guy who could do it.
The best person in Houston. Right? It's a weird way of thinking about it, but really, in the market of Houston, you fell into it because, for better or for worse, you were the best person on hand.
Yeah, and I don't see myself as the best of anything. I'm just a guy, and it's. I know some people kind of accuse me of being overly modest, but really, when you think about just how rare it is to even be alive, and then I'm the result of an unplanned pregnancy, and that irony is not lost on me. My parents had me when I was very young, and you realize just how rare it is to even be a human, and not just at all, but in this moment in history, it's a rare occurrence. And
it's miraculous.
Yeah, it really is. What is it, 400 trillion or 4 trillion to 1? The odds of being born. I mean, if my dad had shown up even 5 minutes late to whatever he and my mom were doing that night, and the thought of even speaking those words, it disgusts me because it's bad. But yeah, it's just, if he was 5 minutes late picking her up, I wouldn't be on here.
Sure. No, I know, but it's that kind of thinking fries my brain, because it's like, exactly, so many experiences in our lives. It's kind of like it was like suddenly it's like the world could have gone in this other direction, and it was just, by accident, it went in this direction where you're born, and then now we're talking, or that you're sitting with Jack. Yeah, it's quite profound.
Yeah, it really is, man.
So, you can either rewind a little bit, because one of the funny things that you said was your parents had you when you were very young. I think when they were very young, but it came out as when you were very young. Yeah, when you were born, you were super young. You're about as young as it gets.
Yeah. Yeah. I was very young when I was born.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. But okay, so there are no accidents. There's all this kind of thing. So, but you grew up in Houston. Like you're Houston made, Houston born, Houston bred, all this stuff. Yeah. Or elsewhere.
Yeah. I lived three years in Minneapolis. Right after my wife and I had gotten married, and we lived there 3 exact years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, your gift, how to help others. So you want to move on to the next photo, or do you want to say one more thing about this particular image?
No, let's do it.
Oh, I love how these photos take a hard left. Okay. I love it. This is called Never Too Late. And it's a photo that was probably made in the 70s, late 70s. It's an old Kodak. It's an old film photo. There's a little boy holding on to like a monkey barish thing in his diapers. So I'd say late 70s, early 80s. Wearing this very sweet sort of long sleeve with horizontal stripes, and behind, as he's kind of swinging holding himself up with this big smile on his face. There's a man behind in sort of 70s short shorts, tight t-shirt. I can't tell how handsome he is, but he's got a little mustache, looking good in a backyard somewhere. What's this? It's called Never Too Late.
That is 4-year-old Freddy, and you're right, 70s, so late 70s.
Okay.
I was 4, wearing a diaper.
No problem.
Yeah, so never too
I'm
late.
50. I'm wearing a diaper right now. Who cares?
I have no idea who the gentleman playing with me is.
Oh,
I have no
that's
idea.
awesome.
Yeah, I have no idea. My best guess is that this was at my Aunt Rosemary and Uncle Victor's house.
Mm-hmm.
Victor ran a local soccer club, and my best guess is that this was one of his players.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So what? So why? Why are we ending on this important signature image? Never too late.
Because it's never too late to get it together, to figure out what your meaning in life is, what your purpose in life is, what your mission in life is, what your massively transformative purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
It could be in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. I've listened to podcast interviews where there is a 100-year-old man who runs 5 miles 3 times a week. And
Oh, wow.
he didn't start getting physically fit until after he recovered from colon cancer at the age of 69.
Amazing.
Started running marathons, and so obviously, as you get older, your body starts to deteriorate. So even though he's not running marathons, that he's still running 15 miles a week. When here, I don't know if the United States has exported its terrible habits regarding diet and exercise to Hong Kong, but we're pretty lazy.
And yet, as you say this, and you're again, these juxtapositions are like, I don't know if this is a professional habit of yours that's become second nature for you, but it's like you're talking about this person who's like 90s, 100, who runs 15 miles a week, which is so inspiring. Mm-hmm. And as you're saying this, it's like there's this little boy holding on to this, like, I don't know, like steel kind of chin up bar or whatever in this backyard, like a monkey bar set. And you're just holding himself up with this, like, the physicality and the joy and everything. So why this juxtaposition?
I just think it's never too late.
Okay.
The only time it's too late is when you're on your deathbed and you got regrets. And so, yeah, it's just, I tell myself that, and I look at that picture. I mean, man, I was cute. I was a cute little kid. And, my mom would joke with you that she cried when I was born because apparently I looked like a rat and I wasn't a very cute baby. Although, in my defense, most babies are not exactly cute fresh out the womb, dude.
No, absolutely not.
We got all kinds of placenta fluids all over, gunk and shit.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
doctor, the nurse has to clean us off.
No, for sure.
So
are you? What's your birth order? Are you first, second, third?
First.
Oh, you're the eldest. Okay.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff that informs who you are, and then how it manifests, for example, to do the sort of the companion animal protection, because you're saying in Houston there's such a huge gap to kind of cross in terms of unwanted animals and then cruelty to animals. And then you went from working within a radio station to all of a sudden, that job ending, and then you going, okay, well, I have to, create a new life for myself. And how it's manifested is to do this podcasting production company or platform. But then also weaved into that is the animal protection. So what is in your world never too late?
I say those words because I don't want my kids to ever go through life and go through their careers feeling that they're stuck doing what they're doing. And I, as much as I wish them nothing but success and happiness, I know from personal experience that your career that you can experience a world of letdowns, that you can be loyal to people, you can bust your ass, and you can still be slapped in the face. And so what I don't want them to ever feel is that they've got to settle for something. I don't
Right.
want them to ever settle. And I just want them to understand that, okay, I'm 37 or I'm 40. In my case, I'm 47, but, they could be 35, 37, they could be 40, 42, 47, 55. And if something happens, they get screwed over or they get an offer that they can refuse and they feel like they're trapped, that it's not too late. It's only work.
Sure.
I mean, we're
Yep.
in America, baby. And we got problems. I'm not going to deny that, but this moment in time in 2023, we're so lucky. There is money
Yeah.
to be made, and never, ever, ever worry about having to pay your bills. If you've got the gumption, you've got the will, you got the drive, you got the passion, you've got that MTP, you've got curiosity.
Yeah.
The world is yours, and it's not going to be easy, but it's possible.
So just to kind of fit myself into that, to kind of shed a bit of light on from my perspective, right? So in my case, what I've done from, I don't know, college, I guess, is I've funneled into communications, right? And then with the pandemic, all of a sudden my client got super sick, so that work stopped. And then there was like the economics within Hong Kong, so that work stopped. And then also now with AI, being a communications person and writing person, all of a sudden the jobs have fizzled. And so this notion of it's never too late, but it's sort of like that whole lesson of you have intrinsic value. Like, so for your daughter, for my daughter, for you as a human, for me as a human, it's like to remember the lesson that we have this intrinsic value, that even if the world doesn't recognize or pay you back, that somehow you have to have faith or take consolation or self-inspiration or self-motivation to keep plugging away, because it's just the circumstance, right? What is that for your next 6 months or whatever, for your podcasting, for your world? Like, what is the big sort of goal that you want to achieve?
Yeah, it's twofold. One, I am going to be launching a podcast version of my book. I'm doubling down on the art of podcasting. This is the future. The future is decentralized, and podcasting is part of it. And the institutional corporations can stay mad.
Okay, wait. I have to interrupt, because okay. So I know you may have, like, somebody listening will be like, dude, you should have followed this up hours ago or whatever it was, a whole time ago. Book? Pimp it out. Which book? What's the book?
It's called Allow Me to Ruin Your Christmas. And this is the cover right here. And so it's
Freddy fucking Cruz. Come on. Okay.
Yeah.
How many books have you written?
3.
Okay. So this particular book is called "Allow Me to Ruin Your Christmas."
Yeah, and it's gonna be a year old, and sales were, is what it is. It's hard to make. It's not a
Books
living.
are books.
No,
I know.
It is not a living, but I am in a position to where I own a podcast agency, and I can invest a little bit of capital into a narrator, a very talented narrator. His name is Kevin Quinn. He's going to be the voice of the book, and I'm going to be releasing it instead of as an audiobook. I'm going to be releasing it as a podcast series, because if I believe that podcasting is the future, then I need to put my money where my mouth is. And so that's going to be what I'm doing. So that's one. And then two, I have begun putting together a series of courses. We went over this picture, my gift and how I intend to help others. There are going to be a series of online courses centered around podcasting, how to be a guest on a podcast, how to interview guests, how to launch a show, how to use writing techniques to create a binge-worthy podcast. There are a lot of parallels between writing fiction and podcasting as it pertains to telling your brand's story. So
Yeah.
I've it's just in thinking of how to market and brand my company. That was one way. I mean, you could easily use the hero villain structure. You can use the
Right.
anti-hero structure, plot, setting. There are so many different things that translate to having a dynamic, just really amazing kick-ass podcast. And so that's what I intend to do.
How do people find you how do people find you?
Yeah, spekepodcasting.com, and it's SPEKE. So rhymes with the name Zeke, SPEKE, podcasting.com.
Okay, and that's the sort of the overarching platform where people can. But are your 3 books there as well?
You can look me up on Amazon.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's so okay because we're only now. Okay, so tell me about your book. You have to listen. Sell your book. You're going to turn it into a podcast. Is it a fiction book?
Yeah. All 3 of my books are fiction. They're standalone, so it's no series. I'm thinking about.
Oh wow.
I'm thinking about turning this one into I'm about 10 pages deep into a sequel, and then I got it in my head, and then I started second guessing myself, and I stopped. I'll eventually pick up where I left off and continue writing it. But this book is it's first person POV alternating chapters, so it follows the story of Beckett and Lex. Beckett is a college kid, comes home, finds out that his favorite podcaster, Lex Griffin of the Lex Griffin Show, is dating his mom, and he finds out in the most awkward way possible. And then it cascades into a whole series of dark secrets and betrayal. Turns out Lex finds out Lex is the reason why Beckett's dad died years ago. And it's a comedy of errors. It's dark, it's funny, but then it's dark, and then it gets a little violent. And they're just the lies, the betrayals, the twists, the turns. It was a lot of fun writing it.
Amazing. And so Freddy Cruz, right? That's your name on Amazon?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Freddy with a Y.
Nice. Freddy with a Y. Listen, these episodes go by so fast.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Like, you have a real. I can see why you would be. Wait, first of all, maybe why the training led you to be so good in terms of the community. Well, first of all, speaking, of course, but then also in terms of the kind of community engagement, community involvement, community service, loud and clear.
Thank you.
I really, respect.
Thank you very much, man. Really appreciate you inviting me to your space.
Of course. Okay, Freddy, have an amazing time in Houston. Get that shirt done.
All right, will do.
Okay, have a really good evening.
All right, thanks. You too.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.